Now we're actually going to talk about shooting video. If you have a video camera or DSLR, please use that with a tripod, very important. But I know most of you guys are going to be using your phone, so we're going to talk about how to make some pretty good video, and specifically interviews with this guy over here. Now, to start off, a lot of you guys probably have one of these guys too, like a little pop socket. You can prop it up against things, use that. Maybe you have a phone, a tripod for your phone. Please use that. But let's say you don't have these things and you just have your cell phone. Here's some techniques. So first of all, you need to create a tripod. So you're going to lock in your elbows. You're going to make most points of contact as possible for maximum stabilization. So I'm going to lock in my elbows like this, and I'm going to film like this. Make sure that my fingers on over the lens here, and I'm going to lock in my elbows and film. Now, when I am filming my interviews, I want to make sure that my subject is not looking at the lens. This is very important. I am your host of this video, so I make contact with the lens. Anchors and hosts are really the only people who are allowed to make eye contact with the lens. And if your interview subject looks into the camera, it is your fault, not theirs, because you are giving them instructions and coaching them through the process. So now, starting off by setting up that interview, to have them look off the lens, you have to give them something else to look at. And it's going to look more natural if they're looking at a face and make them more comfortable. So you're actually going to film with your camera slightly to the side. You're going to have your elbows nice and locked, stabilized. You're going to look to make sure that is rule of thirds, like that picture above. You want to frame them up nicely, and you're going to have your face next to it and have them talk to you. So a little brief look into what this looks like. Let's pretend I'm interviewing myself here. Now I'm going to look in the camera and I'm going to frame myself up rule of thirds. I could go this way, but hey, that was my good side. Not the main point though, but there's this boring cupboard there. Who wants to see that? Let's make my background a little more interesting, this cute little picture. I'm going to frame myself up, rule of thirds, decent amount of headroom. My eyes are on that imaginary plane. This is how you're framing up your interview subjects. Slightly turned, looking into the look space. This looks dumb, looks like a horror movie and something's coming to get me. So make sure that your interviews are framed up pretty much like this. Lighting. I've got my computer over here facing the window. I'm facing the window, not my computer. So that way the light is hitting my face, and again, rule of thirds framed up. So again, your subject is going to be looking off to the side this way, because if I was doing an interview and I'm talking about a subject that I'm an expert on or talking about myself, I want to make that creepy lens eye contact because it feels like I'm looking into your living room. The host is the only one who gets to look into the lens, and chances are in your mini documentary, nobody is going to be looking into that lens. So that is how it would be framed up. And now I'm going to demonstrate how this would work with a real person. Okay, so I have got my lovely volunteer. This is Kay. She's the person I have suckered into being a part of my tutorial videos now. And so if I was doing an interview with Kay with my cell phone, I'm gonna open my camera app and start with that. I am going to be giving Kay instructions on what to do, because anything she does is my responsibility. If Kay looks in the wrong place, or if she's standing wrong, or framed up wrong, or moved, it's my responsibility as the videographer to make sure she is doing that correctly.
So none of this?
None of this. Okay. This is the problem with working with your friends, is that it ends up being a little too much of a game. But anyway, we're going to carry on going with this. So, Kay, if you wouldn't mind, if you could like stand here on this imaginary line I drew with my foot over here. And the reason I draw an imaginary line is because when you don't draw that imaginary line, people tend to do this and move and get distracted in their interviews. And they've been trained since kindergarten to stand on lines. So by drawing that, I know Kay's not going to move. Then I am going to frame up my camera, like I explained to you before, with my elbows locked in, and I'm going to frame her up, make sure she is rule of thirds in the video. I've got my main light source coming from a window over here, and so she is facing that. And then I'm going to put it slightly to the side and say, Kay, you can just ignore my camera over here, just going to have a conversation with me and pretend it's not even there.
Sweet.
And so my first question for you is, what have you been up to during the quarantine?
Well, it's been a real time. I found all of the Tupperware and Tupperware lids together. I've cleaned way too much. I found all of the lost socks from the last 12 years. It's been a real time. Real happy to be here.
Awesome. So Kay's doing an awesome job over there. And now I've listened to what she said. She spoke about Tupperware, and I'm going to go get some B-roll of the Tupperware cupboard that she organized so that I can put that over the cuts in the video.
Oh my gosh, a match! I don't think that matches.
Every time you cut a piece of the interview out, you're going to have to cover it with relevant B-roll. I'm also going to go get some B-roll of her socks to use in my video based on what she said there.
Oh my gosh, a match!
And continue like that. So during the interview, if your subject ever looks at your lens, just ask them the same question again and remind them to look at you. And that's how you do an interview with a phone. If you have your camera, you'll set up your camera tripod right here and do the exact same thing. You'll just have to improvise with your phone. Also, remember that this microphone is pretty garbage. So make sure that you're standing pretty close to your subject so you can get good audio. On that note, a round of applause for our lovely volunteer. And that's how you shoot interviews.